Without a doubt, one of the best seasons of Outlander has been the seventh. Outlander Season 7 has been a television whirlwind that has taken millions of viewers on a time-hopping journey through the depths of human relationships, full of twists and turns that even the most seasoned fans couldn't have predicted. A flashback of two sisters spending time with their mother opens 100,000 Angels, after killing a senior official who set out to harm her sister. Frances Fanny Pocock, the scene shifts to Jane Pocock, who is currently being held by the British Army. A journalist who is trying to use her crime to promote his broadsheet interviews her. Claire Fraser, meantime, is gradually getting better from her potentially fatal injuries. To take care of his wife, Jamie Fraser stays with her all day and all night. Even when she begs him to, he stays at her bedside. They think of going back to Fraser's Ridge, North Carolina, and console one another with their love. William Ransom approaches Lord John Grey, his adopted father, and requests his assistance in rescuing Jane from the gallows. After asking, the aristocrat finds out that she has already signed a confession, therefore there's nothing he can do. The British Army can change her destiny however they like because of the same document. Lord John visits Claire to see how she's doing. She repeatedly tells him how much she appreciates him sparing her life. Jamie hasn't really forgiven his pal for getting married and having an affair with his wife, though. However, Claire steps in and makes sure the two men don't start fighting again. As she recovers, Claire has an odd dream in which Master Raymond shows up in front of her. Unaware of what he did to her, her ancestor begs for her forgiveness. Before she can decipher what the doctor is saying, the dream ends. William turns to Jamie after Lord John tells him there's nothing he can do to assist him. The father and son attempt to save Jane after learning of her situation, but she has already used a glass bottle to end her own life. William increases his own suffering after the unimaginable catastrophe by confronting Jamie to find out the full details of the events leading up to his birth. The soldier declares that he will not consider the Scotsman to be his father after hearing the same thing. Following Jane's passing, William takes Frances to Jamie and Claire, who choose to take on the role of foster parents for the small child. As they get ready to go back to Fraser's Ridge with her, she performs a song that profoundly affects Claire. She once performed the same song to Faith, her stillborn child. Frances responds that it was a song sung by her late mother when she questions her about it. Claire is persuaded by the news that Faith did not actually pass away as she had long thought. She begins to believe that her daughter is alive and has lived long enough to bear and raise two kids. Claire's belief that Faith survived past her birth date is understandable given her role as a mother. One of the most agonizing events in her life was the apparent death of her child, and she has never fully recovered. The song Claire performed to Faith and Frances, "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside," which Claire learned from her mother, adds intrigue to this notion. John H. Glover Kind wrote the specific British Music Hall song in 1907, which begs the question of how the young girl's mother performed it in the 18th century. She may have been a time traveler like her sister Bree and learnt the same lesson from the future, if her mother is indeed Faith as Claire thinks. However, since the deceased woman might have acquired it from another time traveler, the song by itself does not make it clear that Frances' mother is Faith. Furthermore, it is essentially irrational for a baby to develop an attachment to a song that was sung to her on the day of her birth. The question of how Faith was raised from the dead still stands in spite of all of these considerations. In Diana Gabaldon's Outlander book series, Claire muses over the prospect of Master Raymond bringing her back to life by dragging her from the dead. This possibility can be compared to the doctor pleading for Claire's pardon. However, it's crucial to remember that the old man only asks for forgiveness in Claire's dream and not in real life. Raymond wouldn't have needed to conceal the latter from Claire if he had brought Faith back to life. He is among the few people who saw her go through such agony when the baby was born dead. The likelihood of her ancestor adding to her suffering is quite minimal after witnessing the same. The idea that Frances might be Claire's granddaughter could be a story device used to strengthen the bond between the two characters and provide justification for their developing foster mother-daughter bond. The protagonist may give the young girl her complete attention because she recognizes her child's traces in her, despite the fact that they are two strangers with no family. Bree meets her husband, Roger, after traveling through the Stones with her two kids, Jeremiah Jemmy Mackenzie and Amanda Mandy Mackenzie. Unaware of his visitor's biological ties to her grandfather, Brian Fraser, they reconvene in Lallybroch. After enduring a great lot of distress, Bree gets back together with her partner. Her separation from Roger and Jemmy's captivity have caused her a great deal of distress. She also longs to be with her parents again because of these motherhood experiences. We know the answer from the Outlander novel series, even though the 7th season of the TV ends without saying whether they will cross paths again very soon. The Mackenzies arrive in the 18th century to reconnect with Jamie and Claire at the end of the 9th book in the series, written in my own heart's blood. According to the following episode, Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone, Bree and Roger even move into a new house in Fraser's Ridge to be close to their loved ones. The Fraser patriarch and matriarch are reunited with their cherished daughter and two grandchildren, who provide them with comfort and joy after a protracted time of separation brought on mostly by the Revolutionary War. Given their plot in the original texts, the Mackenzies' entrance in Fraser's Ridge could mark the beginning of the upcoming 8th season. The Frasers and the Mackenzies will probably get back together, but their relationship might not be permanent. Jemmy and Mandy, Bree and Roger's children, are safer in the 20th century than they were in the 1700s, and they know it. This knowledge might force them to decide between Jamie and Claire and their children's safety. Even the main characters will not obstruct their grandchildren's progress. Consequently, given that Jamie is not a time traveler, it is feasible for the Mackenzies to be separated from the Frasers. Young Ian considers his future as Jamie and Claire make plans to go back to Fraser's Ridge. He asks his wife, Rachel Hunter, if they should go to North Carolina with their uncle and aunt or re-enlist in the Continental Army. He thinks about settling down because he owns a plot of property there. Rachel agrees to move to Fraser's Ridge even if it means saying goodbye to her brother, especially since she thinks North Carolina will be the ideal area to start a family. The pair has created a family with an unborn child, according to her statements. Rachel and young Ian decide to move to Fraser's Ridge because of Rachel's pregnancy. The relocation guarantees that they will be distant from the dangers and difficulties of the Revolutionary War, which are not suitable for a pregnant woman and her unborn child. The last thing the pair could want is to risk their lives after what happened to Claire. Their tranquility and comfort, which are essential for raising a child, will be ensured by settling in North Carolina. But when young Ian loses his friend, the happy event turns somber. Young Ian suffers greatly as a result of Rollo, his cherished dog, passing away as he sleeps. He sort of waits until the Scotsman has a wife and child to console him before saying goodbye to his master. After making sure Ian won't be alone in this world, which profoundly affects him, Rollo dies. In addition, the fact that his dog has passed away quietly helps him cope with the loss. Rachel supports him by telling him that she married both of them by getting married to one.